The Influence Tribe, episode number 38.
But if you are offended by a lot of things, I would say that that's one thing that you really got to get out of your life.
If you want success in internet marketing, you just have to follow what real internet marketers do.
Now, what do I have to do to get you into this website today?
Right here, you're going to learn strategies, tips, and inspiring stories from up-and-coming internet marketers and current rock stars. Welcome to the Influence Tribe, presented by your hosts, Miguel Fuentes and Scott Lindstrom.
Nice, huh?
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Influence Tribe. You are hanging with a dynamic duo, myself, Scott Lindstrom, and my co-host, Miguel Fuentes, hanging over there. We want to welcome to all our viewers that are catching this live on theinfluencetribe.com. So be sure to put your questions on over to our Facebook fan page, and we'll be sure to get those answered during the show if at all possible. We'd also like to welcome all of our podcast listeners. So be sure, if you're getting value from this show, head on over to iTunes, like, subscribe, give us a 5-star review, okay? Now, before we kick things off, I got to ask, Matt, are you ready to become a massive influencer tonight?
Yes, sir. How's it going?
Awesome. Great. All right. Now, Matt Findley is a returning guest on our show. He was born in Iowa and now lives in Colorado with his wife of 11 years and their 4 children. And he's been involved in MLSP since 2010. He has attained leadership board status, as well as previously being a featured member of the month, which is no small feat by any means whatsoever. So he's proud to have the skill sets that he's acquired that's helped him in his internet marketing business. And his primary methods for building his businesses online is through social media marketing. So I'm excited to get into tonight's episode. Before we get this party started, I want to turn this over to Miguel Fuentes, who's going to tell you about who we are and how you can be a part of this awesome community. Miguel, great to have you back. Take it away, sir.
Oh, it feels good to be back. Scott, I tell you what, thank you for that introduction. It feels so good to be back. For those of you that don't know, I'd had some conflict with some airplanes that didn't line up with the schedule. So I was forced to miss a couple of hangouts, which I did not like. This is one of my main things, and I absolutely love it. I enjoy being around the leaders, getting to talk to them, ask them questions, get some value for you guys, because that's what we're about here. Guys, we're about helping you achieve leadership, becoming leadership. We're about you creating more influence in your world so you can do what? Influence the people that follow you, help them grow, help them get better at what they're doing. With that being said, that's what we're about. I'm going to ask Matt to come out and share his story because it's a great story. We've had Matt on before. He's a good friend of ours and the community that we're a part of. Always so supportive, a rockin' leader, absolutely crushing it in his businesses. So before I do that, if you're watching this on the influencetribe.com, make sure you click the big yellow button that's off to the side of the page that says, yes, I'm ready to go. Yes, I'm ready to run with a proven leader. I'm ready to get results in my business. I'm ready to do that now. So click that big yellow button when you're ready to go. And Matt, please come out and share your story for the folks that don't know who you are. Enlighten them. Let us know who you are.
What's going on, Scott and Miguel? It's been a while since I've talked to you guys. So thanks for having me out again. I really appreciate it. You know, I got started actually myself marketing probably a little under 10 years ago. You know, like a lot of people, we failed miserably when we first started, and I wasn't able to put things together for, 6 or 7 years after that. So it was a mighty struggle for a long time. But, when I started connecting some of the dots, it just started to click for me.
So give us an update. What are you up to marketing wise these days? I remember we had some lengthy discussions around Twitter. Is that still your main strategy currently?
Yeah, absolutely. I use Twitter. It's kind of changed a little bit because we lost several tools that we had been using previously to get leads. But, if you know how to use 1 or 2 different tools, you can find a replacement pretty quick. And, the strategy that I've really gotten used to doing on there is focusing on growing my following and, following up with people with direct messages and then sharing all of my content on there. And right now at this point, it's really kind of hands off. Like I was telling you earlier, April and I just got back from about a 6-week road trip where we went to Ohio and California for weddings and graduations. Then we came back home, and then we went to Iowa after that. And then we went to Montana after that. And then we came back home. Our little girl is actually still up in Montana right now. So we're leaving at 4:00 in the morning to go get her and then stay the night and then come back again on Sunday. But that'll be it after that. We're done traveling. It's been about 10,000 miles on the car. So that's pretty awesome. I've never done that in the summer before, but it's been fun so far. But the whole time we were gone, my business was clicking along in the background, still generating leads, still getting, passive signups and passive commission. And that's the way that we want it to work, right?
That is awesome. That's the dream right there. That's ultimate leverage. That's what people look for, in their multi-level marketing companies. They want that leverage. They want to be able to go to the beach and still make money. So yes, that's amazing. Matt, was Twitter your very first successful strategy, or what was?
No, really. When I first got started with MLSP, back then it was like there was this whole list of tools that they had to sign up for, because that was one of the pull. You get 17 different checks, all paying for your marketing and stuff. And that was the pull for MLSP back then. So you could get all these different affiliate commissions coming in. So you'd sign up for Aweber, and you sign up for GoDaddy, and you sign up for all these different things to get the affiliate commissions, and you hook it to MLSP, and they would send out the emails for you, and everything was gravy. That's how it was supposed to work. And some of the tools that they recommended back then was several, list builders like List Joe or Viral URL. It's email safe list mailing is what it is. So I started with that, and very simple. There was a couple of pages. They first started, really doing the MLSP, like not the custom campaigns, but the made for you campaigns. And it was right when that started. There was a Facebook one, you could get famous in Facebook on 60 days was the the pull in on it. And so I wrote this one email, and it said along the lines of something like, "Was that you that I saw on Facebook?" That was my title, And then in the follow-up was like, "Well, it could have been if you had this training," and then it was the training, and it was just a short little simple email. But that night, it was something magical happened. I opened up my email box the next day, and there was like 25 leads. I was like, where did these come from? And they all came from. The unfortunate part about that was I could only get that one email to work, and it slowly dwindled. It went from 25 leads to like 15 leads, and then regularly I think I generated about 5 to 10 on it for a while, and then it kind of piddled out from there, and I stopped using the tools and actually ended up parking my MLSP account at the time, and I parked it for 2 full years before I got the courage to ask my wife to dive in again. And then she was like, okay, but I'm not going to be a part of it. And so I turned it on, and then, kind of poked her with it every now and then, and got her plugged into the wake up calls. And that's what really turned her around. And she really, really loved a few people that were involved in the community and getting to know them. And that's when Instagram was really getting its footing. It was starting to become really popular, and it was super easy to get leads on there. I remember it was like 3 years ago now on Halloween. We were sitting there on Halloween, and we had just started using Instagram like 2 weeks prior to that. So the middle of that October, I looked at it after we got done trick-or-treating. I looked at my email when I got home, and I had 2 fresh leads, both from Instagram. And so that kind of, kicked some new things in motion there, and helped us develop some new relationships with some other leaders in the community. That's really what it's all about, is getting yourself aligned with the right people that are willing to network with you and that you click with, because you're not going to click with everybody that you run into on the internet. It's just not going to work. You might think that this person is a great prospect, but if you don't click, you're never going to sell them anything. So you got to surround yourself with the right kind of people, and learn how to talk and learn how to walk, and then go out there and start walking and talking on your own and see who you run into. And if you click with somebody, keep building the relationship. And that's really what it's all about.
That's awesome. Let's talk about Twitter for a second. Because
man.
I know you're pretty much an expert at the platform, really.
Almost to 100,000 followers on my main account.
Nice.
I'm at like 96,000 right now. So
Yeah, that's huge. What would you say are like one or two of the most important keys about Twitter that's going to make it work for even for a beginner?
for a beginner, I would say that it's just, being honest with the people who you're going to talk to, because there's a lot of bots out there. And when you find genuine people to have a conversation with on Twitter, it could be a really special exchange between the two parties. You can get to know people. Some of my longest MLSP members were all met on Twitter. And it was just because of the way that I approached the conversation back and forth, and not really necessarily relying on the passive, which comes later, once you figure out a few things. Really that hands-on communication where you're talking back and forth, trying to figure out what the needs are of the people that you're talking to. Really, it's the same principles that apply throughout all of social media when you're marketing with it. When you get to those good conversations, it's easier to move them along, and you could really find some great people, but it's the same principles, like I said.
Do you recommend that beginners like spend more time networking or more time like
Absolutely.
spreading the content? What are your thoughts on that?
Content is just something to have going on your page. And in my opinion, I've got all my blog posts loaded up. They come out every couple of hours or so. So my page is loaded with fresh content every day. Not necessarily that I just wrote, but older ones, that I've syndicated, and, videos and social media quotes and different things like that. If you got a healthy mix of all that, people are going to come in through that as well. But normally I found it's not necessarily the content that's going to push along your relationships and your leads with that. The biggest thing that you could do is following up with those direct messages, and it doesn't matter. There's different schools of thought where if you don't want to send a link and all of that stuff's crazy. Just use what you think is going to work. You got to try the things that work well for you, because there's lots of other people that use Twitter out there completely differently than I do. Some people are all about the automation and they'll never pick it up and never talk to anybody because they don't care. Well, that's fine. You can get 5 leads a day, but you're not going to convert very many of them. If you want to go in there and actually convert those leads, you got to talk to people. It's really this, the same principles and the same concepts. This industry work with relationships is what works on Twitter is the big time. So if you concentrate on building your following, just connecting with more people a day. I said a long time ago, you can follow 1,000 people a day and unfollow 1,000 people a day. There's lots of different ways to accomplish that. You can use bots, you can use, some other different tools to do that for you, or you could do it manually. I did it manually for a long time, and that was actually really effective for me. But you just got to be willing to work it, work it while you're, sitting in line at the grocery store, work it while you're, laying in bed at night while your spouse is sleeping. You got to be able to work your business in every point that you can. Otherwise, it's going to slip away. Got to get that momentum, man.
Are you getting tons of value? Yeah! See, we told you. Be sure to head over to iTunes to like and subscribe. The Influence Tribe.
At what point did you start adding other strategies?
Really, the Instagram kind of popped up and started popping for us first, but then I took those same principles that I learned on Instagram and applied them to Twitter and kind of added those two. So those kind of hit simultaneously. It was Instagram first, but then Twitter kind of took over and was more profitable for us than Instagram was for a while there. And, we just kind of passively built Facebook in the background and passively built our YouTube account in the background, did those types of things in our blog and stuff, kind of built that up. Once the sites came out with the MLSP sites, we really focused on that for a little while, that able to fill up our content queues and stuff that we're pushing out there.
What do you consider as the biggest mistake that either beginner or even intermediate marketers are making based on, because I'm sure you've worked with a ton of people and coached them through a lot of stuff and across the board, what would you say?
Giving up. If you're not going to stay consistent with something and if you kind of see it fall apart right away once you step away from it, you've really got to, you've got to stay attached to it to get that out there, because it will just slip away. I've seen it happen to myself lots of times, different members that I've had that are getting some level of success, and for whatever reason, they just don't believe in themselves anymore. So I don't know what that is. It's, probably mental blocks with each individual person, but probably the overwhelming thing that happens that people make that decision to not keep going.
How have you kept yourself in the game over the years?
It's really just, like I said, about staying consistent with the action that I'm taking, building my social media every day and just staying plugged in to the communities that I'm a part of. I've got several, like you were talking about, several different businesses with an MLM company, and then multiple different affiliate programs that I market as well and make commissions on. So it's really one of those things where if you're not committed to it 100%, I would say find something that you want to commit to first off for 100%, so that it's going to keep you in the game, because it's going to evolve and it's going to change, as you go. There may be a program that you stick with, for 8 to 10 years, or, for the rest of your career, like, MLSP is for some people. But, some people come and make something with MLSP and move on to different and bigger things for themselves. And that's all fine and dandy, but you just have to be excited about it and passionate about it. So if you're not loving it, don't put anything into it anymore. Find something that you love.
If you're just doing it and you're just not enjoying it, and you're kind of going through the motions, you're just wasting time. You're wasting your own time. You're wasting your family's time. There are a lot of people waiting for you. So I absolutely agree with that statement. It's like, go all in or just don't go.
But I understand there's people that are at different levels of their business. Some people are more voyeuristic at points where they're just going to sit back and watch. They want to consume everything possible before they take steps. That's just the way that some people work, and it's different for everybody.
I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Scott at this point. He has some rapid fire questions ready for you, so watch out.
You being a marketer in the game for a while now, what's the average amount of time that you put into your business, let's say a week? I mean, I know it varies, but on the average right now.
I was able to step away for about a month and a half here and really, kind of just travel with my family and be on the road for 10,000 miles, which was awesome. But when it comes back to it, and when I sit down on a day-to-day basis, I really want to sit down 3 to 4 times a week for 5 or 6 hours a day on those days, just to really create several pieces of content and, push them out to my networks is really what it boils down to.
That's awesome, man. Get to work when you want to work.
Exactly. Although, I've been thinking about a lot of things, as I'm driving around and everything, driving at night and, watching the road go by and listening to different podcasts while my family sleeps in the car. I've been thinking, because for the first time, all of my kids are going to be in school full time this fall. And I'm wondering, what am I going to do with my life? And I would just say some things that I'm thinking about, I'm excited about, and I'm not going to share any of that right now, because I want to kind of wait and see what materializes. But I'm really excited for this next chapter of my life, especially because, now that I have basically an education, not a formal education that I, paid for from a college with a degree or anything, but I've got in the trenches education where, I've been able to slug it out and, battle for leads and sales with a lot of really good marketers, which has in turn made me a good marketer. And so now I've got a marketable skill that I can go out there and create a career with if I want. So we'll see what happens,
What would you say is your proudest moment so far in your network marketing or in your business?
The proudest moment, I would say, was probably the first real steady commissions that came in, when it was like we'd get $20 here and $50 here, and nothing was ever coming in. But when it was like, wow, we just made $1,000 this month, and then we made another $1,000, and then another $1,000, and it was like awesome. That was probably the proudest moment that I have. It just really being able to sit down and say, all right, I figured this out finally, and like I said, I've got a skill that I can just pick up at any time and be able to create an income.
Can you give everybody out there, what's 1 or 2 of your favorite quotes?
My favorite quotes, I've got a couple of them written on my board back here. The first one is a Hannibal quote, and it's, we will either find a way or make one. I like that, It's all about, if there's not a way there, you got to be able to make one, You got to just get in the trenches and, dig the hole underneath if you have to, or bash your way through the wall, or whatever you got to do to get around the obstacle in front of you, keep going. Find the way. it's there. And then the other quote I have is from a favorite, a band that I like. There's no shame in looking like a fool. It's all about putting yourself out there, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter what you look like, because in the beginning, nobody's watching you anyway, so you can look like a fool and it doesn't matter. But then when you start getting people out there, seeing what you're doing, you're going to find a bunch of fools to run with and have a good time with. So you could be fools together,
Right on.
Yahoo!
What band was that?
It's a worship band called United Pursuit. So I
Right
really
on.
like those guys, and that's one of the main lines in one of their songs, and it just stuck out to me. So I wrote it down.
Give us one habit that's helped you become successful in your business and elaborate on that.
Oh, habits. Well, habits are something that stick with you for a really long time. And, being a former smoker, that was a really difficult habit to give up. And you want to replace those types of habits with better habits in your life. And, when it gets down to it and you're building a business online and you want to develop good habits, if you've got good habits in the rest of your life, you're going to have good habits in your business as well. So if you are somebody who is consistently an early riser, that's going to benefit you in the morning. If you've got a habit of reading every day, that's going to benefit you in the long run as well. If you've got a habit of just staying consistent with the people that you connect with, if you're a good friend, you're going to be a good business owner, because those kind of skills and habits transfer over wonderfully to this industry.
Leaders are readers. So
Right.
what's one or two books that you would recommend in the last 6 months that you've read?
I just read a full book yesterday because I didn't have anything better to do, but it wasn't a very hard book. I got it from the library. It was called The War of Art, and I had never read it before. And it's Stephen Pressfield. He's the same guy who wrote The Legend of Bagger Vance, wrote this book too, and it's awesome. I'm going to read it again before I bring it back to the library, but it's called The War of Art.
What's it about?
Here, I'll read you the front. Break through the blocks and win your inner creative battles. Creative work is a gift to the world and every being in it. And don't cheat us out of your contribution. Give us what you've got. And that's really kind of how he ends the book, just give everything that you got, don't be lazy. I think that that's really what holds so many people back from just finding their greater selves, is laziness. You can always point it to laziness. And if that word hurts your feelings, take a look at yourself in the mirror and see where you might be lazy. Maybe you're not lazy in every part of your life, but maybe there are some parts of your life that you are lazy with. And if you could change those around, you're going to break through in your life with different types of ideas that you're going to have. You're going to be more creative. You're going to show up better, That's what that book's all about. Great read. Like I said, I'm going to read it again. And then while I was riding around, I wanted to read this, but I read it before. It's called Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff. And it's about, being able to do the biggest pitch of your life, walking into a business meeting and pitching your product or service and, scoring the deal. So that's what this book is about. This book can be a game changer if you are ready to apply what's in this book here. So I was going to read it again. It's been probably 2 years since I've read it.
Give us one of the best pieces of advice that you've ever received as it's related to your business.
I would say that it's all about this was something really I noticed when I was shown some other people's businesses, like when they say, here, come and look at what I do. And you're like, wow, and then they open up this book for you to look at, and you could see kind of what they do and, on a day-to-day basis and how they keep going with things. And really what struck me was how small I had been playing, really looking at it from a perspective like, wow, I am not putting forth the effort that I thought I was. This person is blowing me out of the water with their, with their output. And that's really, in order to get to those next levels, you've got to be able to be that next level person. It's not just about acquiring the skills. You got to apply those skills as well. And sometimes that's where it misses with people. They learn and learn and learn and learn and then never apply.
I had actually wanted to ask you that question because I feel like there's a lot of people that are having success, but they're not really breaking through.
Right.
Like, what's kind of your thought on that? Because I've seen so many people at the same level for a long, and they just don't really push on up into the next thing.
Gosh, it's about who you're surrounding yourself with. You got to find other people that are if you're at one level and everybody else that you're around is at the same level as you, you're not playing big enough. You got to go find a different circle. It doesn't mean you give up on the people that are below you, but you've got to go involve yourself into something higher, a larger goal, a bigger, just a bigger relationship, something that scares you. If it scares you to get in touch with a bigger leader and, not have them be sold, but to sell you something, but to actually create a friendship with them, I think that's where it gets lost, because so many people are always pitching. You talk to somebody here and then they pitch you your business, and then you talk to another person and pitch them your business, and it's pitch back and forth, and there's no real relationship being built. And those are the types of people that I want to associate myself with, is people that actually want to sit down and mastermind. And then if I can find people that are making more than me and achieving more than me, and I can insert myself into their circle of influence and be a part of what they're doing, I'm going to learn some things.
Share with us a moment in your business that you were struggling, and then all of a sudden the light bulbs went off. You had that aha moment. Give us that breakthrough moment in your business. What was that?
Here's what it was. It was being able to sit down and, just for like 15 minutes where I had, a leader critique what I was doing. And just with my Instagram account, he said, here, do this and do this and do this. And, you'll be sure to things will change for you. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that right now. And I did it. And like that night, like I had a bunch of leads come in the next day. I think I had like my best day on Instagram to that point. That next day I had like 10 leads, and, from getting 2 or 3 a day, to getting 10 then that next day, that was like the huge aha moment for me. And I don't know what it was that I was doing wrong in my profile, but just having those eyeballs on it from somebody else that actually knew what they were doing changed it for me. That was the aha moment. Just listening to them take apart what I had and then put it back together in a way that made sense for the things that I wanted to do. So that's what it was for me.
Before we go on any further, Matt, I want to go ahead and turn this over to Miguel. Miguel, do you have any final thoughts or questions you want to go ahead and hit up Matt with?
Matt has put a high value in this interview on the value of leadership, on getting around the right people. And you should be. You should be getting around the people that can teach you something, the people that intimidate you a little bit, the people that can just look at what you're doing and say, hey, do it this way. It's going to work better if you do it this way. That is so valuable. I just want to reiterate that point and just say, Matt, thanks for saying that. I hope if you're listening or watching this right now that you've got that idea. And I also want to remind everybody that this is your opportunity to get inside a community of leaders that can do that exact thing. They can show you the right way. They can teach you how to do it. They can take you by the hand, show you the right way, and it's going to change how you do your business on the internet. So with that, guys, click that big yellow button at theinfluencetribe.com. Get back there, get in contact with who brought you, get back to the person who invited you, and let's rock. Let's do this. That's all I want to say, Scott.
All right. Right on. Matt, I've got the $1 million question. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
You've lost all your income, but you have all the knowledge you currently possess. If you had to start all over again, what would you do in your business to start getting results?
I would start with something. I would go back to those relationships that I had previously built up with, the people that were making the money that I wanted to make, and I would find out what they were doing and, join up with them and, just follow along and get involved with a team that's already rocking it, that's really one of the things that sticks out to me is if you join something and everybody's not rah-rahing around you and having a good time, Is that something that you want to be a part of? It's not something I want to be a part of. I want to be a part of a team that's kicking butt and taking names. I want to be a part of a team that's having success, that not only, are the top people making money, but everybody underneath them is making money too. And that's really what I'd want to align myself with starting over again. It's just with a team that I know and friends that I know that are kicking butt. So,
Matt, do you have any parting words to our audience or words of wisdom or advice, and how can they get in contact with you?
Right on. My words of advice is one of the biggest things that you can do to yourself and stifle your own success is to be offended. When you're offended at something that happens, it takes away from who you can actually be. And it really, it has like some neurological things that happen in your mind and your brain to where, you're only going to focus on the things that offend you. And if you are in any way an easily offended person, you're going to have a hard time finding success in the network marketing industry. And that's just my opinion. But if you are offended by a lot of things, I would say that that's one thing that you really got to get out of your life. Don't be offended, and just sit down and look at something from a different perspective and move on from it. Don't let the little things bother you, that type of stuff. You got to have thick skin.
Ain't that the truth?
Yep. And then to get in touch with me, we got some really cool things going on right now with a network marketing company that we're involved with. It's not really a traditional type MLM, but it is at the same time. And that's just one of those things where there's leaders popping every week. There's new people hitting these levels that they never thought was possible. And it's really great to mastermind with those types of folks and to be a part of something like that. So, if you're looking for something new and looking for something exciting to be a part of, and you got an open mind, you definitely want to get in touch with me. And that's on Facebook. You can find us at Matt and April Findley at facebook.com there. And then also, if you want to come to our blog, that's another easy way. That's meetmattandapril.com. And then if you want to find me on Facebook, it's just Matt Findley. Just look for a lot of people in common. And, shoot me a friend request probably would be a safe bet that it'll be me. But that's Matt, MattFindley on Facebook. So thanks, guys, for having me out. I really appreciate it.
Once again, Matt, we want to thank you for coming on. Miguel, thank you for coming on again. I appreciate you having here, bud. It's not the same without you. And, folks.
I missed you, Scott.
Oh, thank you.
Digital tears.
Folks, you are the product of the 5 closest people you hang out with. And tonight you've been hanging out with Matt Findley. Matt, you are definitely a massive influencer. We want to thank you. God bless you, and good night.
Thanks, guys. Take it easy.
Thank you for joining us today at the Influence Tribe. All right, here's what you got to do. Run, don't walk. Over to theinfluencetribe.net for recaps of every show, training, and helpful resources. Make no mistake, your internet marketing success is waiting for you. Head to the website and prepare yourself to become a massive influencer.